Hey, what's up guys? My name is Cameron Gallagher from We Are Film, and today we're doing an unboxing, so let's get into it. So today we are unboxing a matte box from SmallRig, and I want to do a video kind of unboxing this. I'll probably do a full review later on, but I wanted to sort of just talk about my initial impressions of this because a matte box is something that I've kind of been thinking about getting for a long time now. When I first started filmmaking, matte boxes in general were very expensive. Typically to get a matte box, it was probably anywhere from like $500 to $800, and now the prices are so low that it's honestly, it's kind of a no-brainer. And I'll talk more about why maybe you do or don't want a matte box. So we'll talk about that a little bit later as we open this thing up. But this is the SmallRig. This is the lightweight matte box from SmallRig. You can see on this camera here. I forgot I can't pick it up now. So just to kind of give you a few little kind of stats about this thing, one of the biggest selling points to me of this was the fact that it was $99. Because honestly, any features at $99 for a matte box is better than nothing. And again, I'll kind of go into what some of those are as we start to unbox it, but I just think as a whole, that's a pretty sweet price tag. And of course, this has two filter holders, it has a top flag, and it's a matte box, so it has some adapter rings and stuff like that. So let's get into it. So let's open this guy up here. So one thing I will say too is the box is very nice. Like any product, this is probably the nicest box I have actually opened, which sounds stupid, but it shows that there's a lot of detail into this, and I just appreciate that, obviously, from SmallRig. And I'm kind of a big SmallRig fan. You know, it is what it is. So here is, it looks like the actual matte box itself. So there's that. There we go. It's a little wider now, so you can see a little bit more. So we're going to take that, actually put that aside just for now, because we got a little bit more to get into. Here is some, looks like just Allen keys, which we'll probably end up having to use. Set those aside. And then these are the filter holders. I actually did open this up before, so they don't look as gnarly. Two adapter rings in this one, and then two adapter rings in that one. So these two are both some different types of adapters we'll get into in a minute. So let's move this box right out of the way. All right, let's get to the matte box. So the first thing I notice about this matte box in general is how big this thing is. This is one of the things that a lot of people had kind of said on the reviews, that this versus sort of the Tilta, there's like a Tilta version of this matte box, and most people had said that this might be too big. And I would normally say that that's totally true, because this is a very big matte box. I mean, you can tell just compared to my hand here, this is fairly large. But the thing is I run with an Ursa Mini Pro G2, which is a large camera, and most of my camera lenses are larger. So for me, this wasn't a huge deal. But I guess let's talk about what a matte box is, because why are you actually buying this, and maybe why the size might actually make a difference for you. So most matte boxes are going to do a couple of things. One of the first things is actually stop flares. So in this case, of course, you have your actual just normal part of the matte box down here, which is going to be just kind of protecting the edge of the lenses, of course, and smaller stuff we'll get into. But then one of the big things is flags, and in this case, the top flag, which you can adjust sort of up or down, depending on how you want to maybe block or slightly block sunlight. So that's one of the biggest things. One of the second ones is it actually can protect your lenses. This way, if your camera were to fall, it's one more thing in the way to sort of take the blow. And that's sort of important, especially depending on what type of lenses or camera you're running with. One of the biggest reasons why you're going to want to get a matte box, and especially something like this, is because of the filtration. So you can see up here, there's two little screws, and then on the side here, you have a little latch that opens up. And that thing opens up where you can put two filters. Now these, I believe, take 4 by 5.65 filters. So these are pretty big, nice for widescreen or really wide lenses. And that's one of the biggest reasons why you're going to use something like a matte box. So that way you can put filters in front of your lenses and use them with multiple lenses, not having to adapt. That's kind of something we'll get into a little bit later. But off initial impressions, I mean, this thing is super light. Like, this thing just looks quality, and I will say, as a whole, it's just very, very light. So obviously, if you're running this on a small rig, no pun intended, this is going to be a very lightweight piece of gear. Now, the one thing I will say, though, is although this is very light, again, that kind of size, this is large. So this would look probably a little ridiculous on maybe a small DSLR. The Tilta one is probably your better bet, unless you're using wide, or you need wide filters, because again, this has the wider 4 by 5.65. So that's kind of one of the reasons why you do this. So I guess, how do you attach it to a camera? Well, I don't actually have a camera here to attach it to, but I'll show you how you do it. So what you would do is actually use some of these step-up rings, or I guess just adapters really. And what you would do, so you'd actually screw this onto your lens, and you'd screw it, the lens kind of over here, and this on top, so this way this is facing out. And what that's going to do is when this is facing out, you're going to actually attach this inside here, so it's going to kind of slip on. And you can see here, if I loosen that up, it's going to set inside there, and then you can tighten it, and now it is attached to the front of your lens, so obviously this would then be on your lens. And one of the great parts is there's no light leaks inside because it's a adapter. So that way you're not going to get any extra spill from behind you. And that was one of the things I didn't like about some other matte boxes. They use like a donut system, which is basically a piece of fabric they just wrap over top. It's easy because it makes it quick, but you just run into some issues if you're using a follow focus or lenses with lens gears. But overall, I'm pretty happy with the quality. And of course, there's some different filter sizes, which I can kind of talk about more in a minute. But I'm pretty happy with just like the build quality. The nice thing is on top here, you can actually undo this little button there and slide that out. So if you don't want the top, you just want the actual matte box itself, it can kind of minimize the size a little bit. Just slide that back in there and then lock that back down. But I like the look of it. It looks really nice. It's quality. It's thin. I'm not saying if this thing didn't take maybe a big hit that it would bust. I'm a little bit nervous about how the filtration pieces are going to sit. I feel like they could rattle a little bit. And obviously this rattles, but there's nothing to tighten it on. So that's, probably part of that. And these are the tightening screws for those filters. So let's talk a little bit more about why you would use a matte box. One of the reasons why I actually bought this, which sounds slightly ridiculous, but it's actually because a lot of times it looks nicer on the camera. Now, for a lot of people, that's not worth spending $500, $600. But when something is $99, it becomes a little bit easier to justify spending that type of money on a look. Now, you might be like, well, why do you care what it looks like? Well, there's two actually really important reasons. One of them is obviously we do YouTube content here. So having a setup that looks good on camera, so like having our setup look good on camera, is a huge plus. I mean, it gets things like views and it gets people watching our videos because it looks more legit. One of the other reasons actually is during film shoots, whether it's a commercial shoot or even a wedding shoot, although I may not use this a ton on weddings, one of the big plus sides is being able to look more professional is a great way to be perceived as a higher valued business. So in a lot of cases, if I go and have something that looks like a true cinema camera setup, it's a lot easier for me to justify charging a lot more money than it is if I were to show up and it kind of look a little janky or like things are kind of pieced together. So that's one of the reasons why the look of a matte box, which is kind of underlooked, can be really, really beneficial. One of the other things is when you're using a matte box with those wider filters, you can use much nicer filters. A lot of the 77mm thread filters that I'm using right now are nice, the Black Pro Mist and the Hollywood Effects, all that kind of stuff. But, the high-end stuff is made for matte boxes. So the really, really nice Tiffin filters and those really, really cool gradual effects filters, most of those are made for a square or rectangle type of filters. So in that case, you kind of have to use one of these. Now, the thing that I will say is that those filters are way more expensive. Like, you go from spending like $100 to probably like $500 per filter. The advantage is, though, you only have to have one. Now, in my case, I use the Manfrotto Zoom system, which is a magnetic system to change filters quickly. And the only downside that I see to this matte box right now is how I'm going to quickly move it from lens to lens. The problem is with the Zoom system, I can't use this and the Zoom system because these filter threads have to be attached to the lens themselves. There's no like magnetic, I'm not gonna attach a magnet to all of these. Now, there's a couple different solutions. I could attach all the magnets to these, so these would snap on. The problem is I don't think the matte box would be, or I think the matte box would be too heavy to actually hold those magnets. So the problem becomes, how do you efficiently switch all of these out? Well, there really is no efficient way to do it. You're going to have to basically screw these on and off of every single one of your lenses and hope that they fit within this. I think it's a 62, I think it's like a 58, a 62, 72, and a 77. So you hopefully have to have one of those four. One solution that you could do, which would be a little bit inefficient, a little more expensive, but it would be quicker in the long run, is to basically buy, however many lenses you have, an adapter for every single one. The problem is they're not going to sit in your case really nicely because, well, you have these giant things on the front of them. So is this for everyone? Probably not. And honestly, for a lot of people, it's probably not necessary at all. But if you're shooting in a controlled environment where you can control every aspect of filmmaking and, pacing isn't a big deal to you, like if you're making a short film or a big commercial where every single shot is a full setup, then you totally have time to switch these out. If you're shooting a run and gun style or a wedding or something where you have to be very quick about things, I don't recommend this because I honestly think that it's going to be just too much stuff to have to deal with. But if you are looking for a matte box in general and something that is high quality and that is lightweight and that just works really well, $99 is an absolute steal for this thing. And again, in my case, I just have been really, really happy with this so far. Just taking out, I did take a peek at it before, so I've used it a little bit. But I just have to say, in general, this thing is pretty awesome. So again, matte box may not be for you, but anyway, guys, be sure to like, comment, subscribe if you like this video. Let us know some other videos that you want to see in the future. We have lots of behind the scenes coming soon on our short film, so stay tuned for that. We're also going to be selling right now the pre-sale for our massive masterclass behind the scenes on the short film. So if you're interested, it is on sale. The pre-order is going to be cheaper. It is on sale right now, so go act now. Go check that link out in the description below. I'm telling you, it's going to be hours and hours and hours, like probably 5+ hours. We actually have more footage than that now. But again, if you want to be, if you're interested in that, go check out in the description below. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys later. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, consider subscribing. We post gear reviews, tutorials, behind the scenes, and a lot more on a consistent basis. And of course, be sure to hit that notification bell so you're always notified and the first to watch. So, go subscribe.